In this video, we're going to be talking about close reading and how that relates to critical reading, thinking, and writing. Both reading and writing have as their goal the construction of meaning. An author writes to tell his or her reader what that author means. A reader then reads in an attempt to understand what that author has meant. So reading and writing, like listening and speaking, are reciprocal arts. You can't have one without the other. Critical reading is needed for critical thinking, and critical thinking is needed for critical writing, and that's what we're working on here in this lesson. But not all reading is the exact same. There are different types and different methods of reading a text. So let's go into those now, the different types of reading. There are many different ways to read a text, but we're going to focus on three here: skimming, first reading, and then close reading. So let's take that first one, skimming. The purpose of skim reading or scanning through a text is to discover what the text is about as a whole in a general sense. Now there is a particular method to this. First off, you'll want to inspect the title and subtitle of the text because they're going to tell you a lot about what that particular text is about. Next, look at titles of chapters or sections. Taking a look at the table of contents would be a good idea here. That way you can kind of see how the text is organized. Third, look at any footnotes or endnotes that are available, and then go through the text, reading only a paragraph or two, sometimes a page or two, here or there. For shorter text, read the first and last lines of each paragraph. Now this may seem interesting that as an English teacher that I am telling you, to just kind of look around here or there, but remember the purpose of skim reading. It's only to discover what the text is about as a whole in a very general sense. Next up, we will want to go to a first reading. So in a first reading, this will be after you've scanned it, after you've done your skim reading, you'll want to do a proper first reading. So what you'll do here is you'll read the text through completely, preferably in one sitting. Now this is also from an English teacher. It's going to sound a little odd, but do not stop to look things up even if you don't fully understand. Understand whatever you can in a first reading. You can look up what doesn't make sense to you later. The purpose of a first reading is to understand the most basic facts of the text. Who are the characters? What do they want? What's the setting? What kind of arguments, is the author making? You just kind of want to get a little bit more of a general sense than you got from the skim reading. You're getting the basic facts of the text here. Now we're moving on to number 3, the close reading. Now a close reading is a careful, detailed, and sustained reading of a passage of a text. Now the purpose of a close reading is to discover what the book means, but also how each specific part contributes to that meaning. There's a method here as well. Note the structure of the text. Divide the text into parts that make up the whole. And as you read, ask yourself these questions while you're doing a close reading. What words, ideas, or passages do I not understand? Which words, ideas, or passages are repeated? What is the effect of that repetition? Emphasis or something else? Other questions to ask can be, what oppositions do you find? Are there anything in the text that are kind of going against each other? And also, do you find or did you find any allusions or references to something outside of the text that the author expected you to understand? In a close reading, this is the time to start looking that stuff up. So remember the different types or kinds of reading. Skimming, where the purpose is just to get a general sense about the text as a whole. A first reading, where you're kind of getting some basic facts of the text down. And then in a close reading, where you're attempting to discover what the book means, not just in general, but also specifically, and how each specific part contributes to the meaning of that text. So those are our 3 different types of reading: skim reading, first reading, and a close reading. And remember that reading and writing are reciprocal arts. You need to be able to do both to be able to do either one effectively. So as you go through the rest of this lesson, make sure that you are reading these texts first, skim reading, then a first reading, and then a close reading, and really practice your critical reading, thinking, and writing skills.